Hello, scumbags. It's me, your fifth favorite person on this channel, Andrew Fantasia, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something kind of sad, but kind of wonderful at the same time. As always, if you like what you see here today, please feel free to give a thumbs up to the video and give some love to the subscribe button as well, because it helps us out here a lot. Now, here's what I wanted to rap about with you today, and it has to do with famous people who have died. You know, when a celebrity passes on and they leave the world, people will generally come out with some kind of big thing to give to their fans, like, hey, remember so-and-so? Well, here's all their work in a nice little bundle if you want to enjoy it. That tends to happen a lot. And in the Star Wars universe, we lost a celebrity, kind of. We lost Kanan. I guess spoilers if you haven't seen Rebels yet, but yeah, I think at this point everybody knows Kanan has become one with the Force, and he is no longer among us. Now, I wanted to sort of give you a little bit of, not a retrospective, but just a friendly reminder that if you're one of those people who likes to gather the work of a dead famous person to look back at all their accomplishments, then I suggest, if you have not done so already, that you, my friend, need to read these. These are, well, this is the Kanan comic book, The Last Padawan, that came out a few years ago now, and it tells the story of how Caleb Doom stopped being a Jedi Padawan and ran away and became eventually Kanan, the same Kanan that we know and love, and the same Kanan that Hera knew and loved enough to have a baby with him. This is full of spoilers at this point, but you know what? We're going there. So, in a perfect world, Jason Sindula would probably want to read these. These are basically the quintessential life story of what his father went through at the end of the Clone Wars. And this is the first volume here, and this is the second volume, and there are only 12 issues in total. The Kanan run was a limited run, which I like, because it's got a beginning and a middle and an end, unlike some comics. I'm giving a dirty look to Superman right now. You can't see it, though. He's off screen. But I like that it was a quick sort of, just you're in and you're out adventure, but not quick enough like the Darth Maul thing where it's like, oh my god, it's over already. Half of this was ads. I'm talking like quick but chunky. There's a lot of meat to this story. And today is just going to be me gushing about how this was one of the best comics in the new canon. And if you have not read it yet, now that Kanan is no longer with us, you owe it to him, especially, and to yourselves, to check out this story. So what is it about? Well, in the first volume, as most of us know from what Kanan has told us, it covers everything that happened to him right at the tip of the end of the Clone Wars. We're talking like Order 66. And when Order 66 happens, Kanan and his master, Depa are stationed on a planet whose name completely escapes me right now because I'm not Rain Man. I don't remember the name of the planet, but they're on this world, and they're fighting the Clone Wars, and they're doing lots of great things. And then Order 66 happens. And these clones who young Kanan has made friends with, because the clones are cool guys, and you make friends with dudes like that, and he's in the thick of battle with them, and he's befriended them. All of a sudden, the clones are standing up and pointing guns at Kanan and Depa, and it's like, whoa, what is happening? And this poor boy has to run for his life. Now, of course, Depa, we met her all the way back in The Phantom Menace. She was on the council. That's her right there. She doesn't make it. The clones wipe her out, and Kanan, or rather Caleb, because he's still Caleb at this point, gets away. He has a horrible few nights where he's basically living homeless in the woods of whatever this planet is called. Maybe I should have looked that up first. But he's running through the woods, and he's scared, and he's alone, and he doesn't know what to do, and he meets an alien who is one of the residents of this planet. His species is very cool. I want to find a picture of the species to show you, because they're very Cobra-like. That's him right there, this green fella. And he makes friends with young Caleb, and he's kind of a smuggler. He's a ne'er-do-well kind of guy, and He teaches the kid a thing or two about surviving and smuggling, as most Star Wars characters are wont to do. And they develop a friendship, and he becomes sort of the Chewbacca to this guy's Han Solo. And they travel the galaxy for many moons and get in a lot of trouble. However, there are still clones out there who know that Caleb Doom, a young Jedi, matching this guy's description, is at large. So, Caleb takes it upon himself to cut his hair and change his name. And he changes his name to Kanan Jarrus. And he gets a fancy new look, and he puts his hair in a ponytail, and everything is different and strange, and he's not having it, but he becomes a good smuggler, and he hides out from the clones for a long, long time. But eventually, the past does catch up to him. And when the past catches up to you, and that past involves Emperor Palpatine trying to murder your face, that is never a good thing. And as you can guess, things only get worse from there. Now, one cool thing about this story is it's actually all being told via flashback. And you'll see right here on the first page, I love this. You've got the Ghost Crew in all their comic-y glory, and they look nice. The art in this is top-notch. It takes place during, I think, somewhere around Rebel Season 1 in there. And Kanan and the crew are doing a mission, and this mission is taking them to that planet whose name completely slips my mind. And he's remembering that this was the planet essentially where Kanan Jarrus was born, where Caleb Doom vanished and Kanan Jarrus took his place. And then Volume 2 continues the story, and in Volume 2, he keeps flashing back, and he learns about, now he's flashing back to his time at the Jedi Temple, learning under Depa Billaba and all that. And that cuts back and forth between the present, when he's with the Rebel crew. And what I really loved about Volume 2 is it really dived deeper and deeper into canon, which we love. That's why we buy these, because we like the canon. So not only have you got, the backstory of Kanan and Depa and everything that they've been through together when he was a kid, but then you've got moments where we see Kanan having to go up against very familiar people, like this handsome gent right here. General Grievous, he makes an appearance in the book. I've always, any excuse to see Grievous, count me in. He's one of my favorite villains in the whole saga, and so getting to see him was great. But that's not all. But wait, there's more. You also get to see another familiar face from canon. This one even more important because it really does the job of bridging the gap, and that is Admiral Rey Sloane. This is it. This is the first time we ever get to see her pictured, and it makes perfect sense because when we meet Sloane, the first time we meet Sloane in A New Dawn, that was a story about Kanan and Hera. So it only makes sense to bring her back into the mix with Kanan and Hera. And that's why I love this whole story so much, is because it does what I think we as fans all want the entirety of Star Wars to do, which is just keep that canon a-rolling, baby. Keep everything chugging along and mixed together. Like, I want this to be like a bowl of party nuts where you reach in your hand and you don't know what you're going to get. You might get characters from a movie or characters from a book or characters from a video game. And this Kanan story did that for me. It took characters from this TV show, and it's like, okay, here you go. Oh, but here's that Jedi from Episode 1. Oh, and here's General Grievous from the Clone Wars. Oh, and here's Rey Sloane from A New Dawn and Aftermath. So it gives us a taste of all the worlds. Every facet of media that Star Wars is pimping its name out to is represented somewhere in this story. So the whole idea of getting to know Kanan's backstory, like if you had told me before this came out, like, oh, we're going to make a Kanan comic book and it's just going to be about, how he got his new fake name and that's it, I'd be like, I don't know, man. I mean, can I just piece that together with my imagination? Like that wouldn't be my first choice for a Star Wars comic. But having read the comic, having all 12 issues in my brain now, now, you know, when I think of Kanan Jarrus, I don't just think of Rebels, I think of this. And this is a good example of how any character, any story can work with new canon given the right dedication. You know, there's so much out there right now about, oh, what's the next standalone movie going to be? Is it going to be Boba Fett? Is it going to be this or that or that or the other thing? Now, when people say Boba Fett, you know, there's a lot of Boba Fett lovers out there. I'm not a huge Boba Fett lover. I'm not a hater by any means. I think he's cool, but I'm not, you know, Boba Fett's not my first choice. He's not even like my 21st choice for a standalone story. However, after this, I stand to reason that yes, you could make a good Boba Fett standalone movie. Before I read this, I would have said, nah, you know what, that's not in the cards. But now I think anything is possible. It just has to be done right. And it's still not my first choice, not by a long shot, but it's still, it's no longer an impossibility. It's no longer something that I would just crumple up and throw away. And I love that this comic did that. It opened up possibilities that I didn't even know I wanted. It made the less desirables seem more desirable. Now, I'll still take an Obi-Wan movie over that any day. I'll still take an Old Republic movie over that any day. But I'm not going to say no to a Boba Fett movie now. And that's just an example that I owe that all to this book. So if you've not had a chance to take a gander at Kanan's backstory, he's dead now. This is the last chance you're going to get. I mean, these books aren't going anywhere unless Disney pulls that whole vault thing and hides them away from us like they do with their movies. Seriously, Disney, what's up with that? Why do you do that? I want to buy Fantasia. I'm willing to give you money to buy Fantasia. That's neither here nor there. The Kanan comic book is awesome. It's one of the best runs, if not the best comic runs in the new canon. It's probably, I would still put Lando over this, I think. The Lando comic was really sexy, but this is up there. So give this a read if you have not already. You shan't be disappointed. And if you have read it already, I recommend reading it again now that we know how Kanan's life ends. And like I said at the beginning of the video, now that we know he has a son out there who could possibly learn this stuff later down the road and what that could mean for him. Because remember, what's so interesting about Jacen Syndulla is I compare him to Kylo Ren in that Kylo Ren, you know, we didn't really know what he was all about beforehand. All we know is that Ben Solo was a thing, and then all of a sudden he found out about his lineage and his connection to Darth Vader, and then that changed. And Ben Solo was not the same person he was before. I think something very similar could happen here. Depending on what information Hera decides to parcel out, you know, I don't know if she's the kind of mom who sits Jacen down and is like, this is everything that happened to your father. If this comic, if the story in this comic is a mystery to Jacen for a long time, and then he finds out what his dad was all about and what the Jedi were all about and Order 66, and he learns all those details, what then does that change about Jacen Syndulla? And I don't know if we'll get to see that. We may never see the kid again. God bless his green little head. But if we do see him, that's something interesting that I think we can keep in the forefront of our minds. And hindsight is always 20/20. So now that we know the end of Kanan's story, I highly recommend that you all go back and take another look at the beginning. So that has been Unleashed. I am Andrew Fantasia. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Until then, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.